When meeting a car with blinding headlights, you should A. Use your bright lights until the other vehicle dims theirs. B. Flash your lights on and off to warn the other driver. C. Dim your lights and then speed up to pass quickly. D. Look toward the right side of the road. D. Look toward the right side of the road. If a vehicle comes toward you with its high beams on, look away from the headlights and toward the right side of the road until the car has passed. This will keep you from being blinded. To improve visibility lowered by rain or fog, drivers should use their A. Low beam headlights. B. High beam headlights. C. Parking lights. A. Low beam headlights. Low beam headlights should be used when driving in rainy or foggy weather. Even if they do little to help you see, low beams will make it easier for others to see you. Which of the following are used on some highways to direct drivers into the proper lanes for turning? A. Flashing red lights. B. Flashing yellow lights. C. White lines on the side of the road. D. White arrows in the middle of the lanes. D. White arrows in the middle of the lanes. Arrows may be used to indicate which lanes should be used for specific purposes, such as driving straight or making a turn. This road sign means A. Steep grade ahead. B. Pedestrian crossing ahead. C. Low ground railroad crossing. D. Low clearance.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
This yellow sign means A. There is a sharp turn to the right. B. The lane must turn right. C. A right turn is permitted on a green arrow only. A. There is a sharp turn to the right. Some warning signs have a fluorescent yellow-green background. These signs warn of upcoming conditions, including roads with curves and sharp turns. Guide signs are fill in the blank. Signs that provide directional and mileage information to drivers. A. Yellow. B. Red. C. Green. D. White. C. Green. Guide signs, sometimes known as destination signs, have a green background and provide directional and mileage information to specific destinations. They can be a helpful resource when driving in unfamiliar locations. Which statement about tires is true? A. Tires must have good tread and be free of damage. B. Tires with low air pressure provide a smoother ride. C. Overinflated tires do not skid on wet pavement. A. Tires must have good tread and be free of damage. The tires on your vehicle must have good tread and be free of damage. Inspect the condition of your tires regularly. Which of the following statements is true? A. Trucks have larger blind spots than passenger vehicles. B. Always avoid driving beside a large truck for long periods of time. C. Both of the above. C. Both of the above. Trucks have large blind spots that start behind the cab and extend for the length of the truck. Because the truck driver will not be able to see you, you should avoid driving beside or behind a large vehicle for long periods of time. You may avoid the risks of alcohol-related crashes by A. Deciding before you start drinking that you are not going to drive. B. Simply saying, "No thanks, I'm driving," if someone offers you a drink. C. Calling a taxi. D. Doing any of the above. D. Doing any of the above. The only way to avoid the risks of drinking and driving is to decide before you start drinking that you are not going to drive. Because alcohol affects your judgment, it will be harder for you to make safe decisions after you have started drinking. Headlights must be used. A. After 6 p.m. and before 7 a.m. B. After 7 p.m. and before 8 a.m. C. After 8 p.m. and before 7 a.m. during daylight savings time. D. From sunset to sunrise. D. From sunset to sunrise. You must have your headlights turned on when driving from a half hour after sunset until a half hour before sunrise. Turn on your headlights when driving in lowered visibility situations. A steady green light at an intersection means that you A. Must slow down and prepare to stop. B. Must stop and check for oncoming traffic before proceeding. C. May drive through the intersection if the road is clear. D. May not turn right. C. May drive through the intersection if the road is clear. A steady green light means you may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. You may also turn right or left on a steady green light unless a sign prohibits the turn. When turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. When you are backing up, it is usually best to A. Steer with one hand while looking into the rearview mirror. B. Open the driver's side door and look back. C. Steer with both hands while looking into the side view mirror. D. Steer with one hand while looking over your shoulder through the rear window. D. Steer with one hand while looking over your shoulder through the rear window. Turn your head to look behind you before and while backing up. Steer with one hand when backing up or when operating vehicle controls. You should keep both hands on the wheel at any other time. This sign means A. You should stop for other traffic. B. Traffic is entering from another road and you should allow additional space for drivers to merge safely into the flow of traffic. C. Traffic is entering from another road and you should keep right. B. Traffic is entering from another road and you should allow additional space for drivers to merge safely into the flow of traffic. This sign alerts you to the possibility of traffic merging into the main stream of travel. After checking to your side and rear, you should move into another lane, if possible, to allow merging motorists a clear path. This sign means A. School crossing. B. School zone. C. Pedestrian crossing. C. Pedestrian crossing. This sign marks the presence of a crosswalk. Be alert to any pedestrians that may be crossing the roadway. Which of the following statements is true? A. Signal at least 100 feet before changing lanes to pass and ensure there is no oncoming traffic. B. Use your mirrors and look over your left shoulder to check your blind spot when passing to the left. C. When passing, wait until you can see both headlights of the passed car in your rearview mirror before returning to your original lane. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. When passing, you must always signal at least 100 feet in advance of your lane change. Always check behind you in your mirrors and look over your shoulder to check your blind spot. Wait until you can see both headlights of the passed car in your rearview mirror before returning to your original lane. This road sign means A. No right turn. B. Curve. C. Turn right or left. D. Traffic flows only in the direction of the arrow. D. Traffic flows only in the direction of the arrow. This one-way sign indicates that traffic flows only in the direction of the arrow. This sign means A. Slippery when wet. B. Watch for drunk drivers. C. Dangerous curve ahead. D. Bump in the road ahead. A. Slippery when wet. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black markings on a yellow background. They alert drivers to upcoming hazards. This sign warns drivers to be extra careful when the pavement is wet because the road may become slippery, making vehicles more difficult to control. This sign means A. No U-turn. B. No turning. C. No left turn. D. No right turn. A. No U-turn. This sign prohibits U-turns. Do not make a U-turn where this sign is posted. At intersections with a yield sign, you must A. Yield the right-of-way to cross traffic that is near enough to cause conflict. B. Yield the right-of-way only to vehicles on your right. C. Always slow down and proceed without stopping. A. Yield the right-of-way to cross traffic that is near enough to cause conflict. At a yield sign, you must slow down or stop, if necessary, and give the right-of-way to crossing or merging vehicles. Yield the right-of-way to any cross traffic that is close enough to cause conflict. After stopping for a school bus that is unloading children, A. Do not proceed until the children wave to you. B. Watch for children walking along the side of the road. C. Accelerate quickly. D. Turn on your emergency flashers. B. Watch for children walking along the side of the road. After stopping for a school bus that has its stop arm extended and its lights flashing, watch for children walking along the side of the road. You should always drive with caution when driving near children. If you see a cyclist in your lane ahead and wish to pass, you should A. Treat the cyclist as any other driver you would pass. B. Lightly tap your horn to warn the cyclist. C. Wait until traffic is clear in the opposite lane and then change lanes to pass the cyclist. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Bicycles on a roadway are considered to be vehicles and should be treated as such. A loud blast of your horn could startle a cyclist and cause an accident, so your horn should be used lightly only to get a cyclist's attention. Before passing a cyclist in a narrow traffic lane, wait until the traffic is clear in the opposite lane and then change lanes to pass the cyclist. Do not attempt to squeeze past them. What is a potential effect of taking a prescription drug while drinking alcohol? A. There will likely be no effect. B. It will make you more alert. C. It can make you unfit to drive. When approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its siren and/or flashing lights, a driver must immediately A. Pull to the right and stop. B. Pull to the right and slow down. C. Pull to the right and turn on their vehicle's four-way flashers. D. Stop and let the emergency vehicle pass. A. Pull to the right and stop. When you are approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its lights, sirens, and/or other warning devices, you must immediately drive to the right side of the road and stop. Which statement about backing on a roadway is true? A. The driver should first give a signal to warn approaching traffic from the rear that they intend to stop. B. Drivers should look straight ahead while backing. C. Traffic checks are not necessary when backing. A. The driver should first give a signal to warn approaching traffic from the rear that they intend to stop. You should always look behind you to check for traffic when backing up. Only back up where it is safe and legal to do so. If you are driving and a tire suddenly goes flat, you should A. Rapidly pump the brake pedal several times. B. Slow down gradually and not brake. C. Press down on the brake pedal as hard as you can. B. Slow down gradually and not brake. If a tire blows out or suddenly goes flat while you are driving, grip the steering wheel firmly and keep the vehicle aiming straight. Take your foot off the accelerator and do not brake. Allow the vehicle to slow by itself and use the brakes gently, but only if necessary. Pull off the road when it is safe to do so. If you approach a traffic light with a red signal and a police officer directs you to go through the intersection without stopping, you should A. Stop until the light turns green. B. Go through the intersection without stopping. C. Come to a complete stop before proceeding. B. Go through the intersection without stopping. Instructions given by police officers directing traffic always override posted traffic signals and signs. Follow the officer's instructions. You notice that the driver in the vehicle ahead of you is driving with one hand and talking to a passenger. You should A. Give the vehicle extra space. B. Know that the driver in the vehicle ahead is reducing their safety margin by being an inattentive driver. C. Avoid following the driver's example. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Do not become distracted by looking at passengers, attempting to find something in your vehicle, looking at reading material, sightseeing, or daydreaming while driving. If a driver near you seems distracted, allow them extra space because the risk of an accident is increased by their inattentiveness. Large vehicles have blind spots that can extend up to 200 feet directly behind the vehicle. A. True. B. False. When you see this yellow sign, you should A. Always stop at the crosswalk. B. Stop at the crosswalk until a crossing guard signals for you to go. C. Be prepared to stop if children are in the crosswalk. C. Be prepared to stop if children are in the crosswalk. A five-sided sign indicates that you are near a school. Be aware and stop if children are in the crosswalk. Which of the following statements is true? A. A sudden change in weather calls for a change in driving. B. You should slow down when driving in rain and fog. C. Be particularly aware of vehicles coming up behind you in inclement weather. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If the weather changes suddenly, you will need to adjust your driving to adapt. Always slow down when driving in rainy or foggy conditions. Be especially aware of vehicles behind you that may be going too fast for conditions.